going to start the show off with our buddy Maurice Jones-Drew on our Jacksonville feud, one of the best draft picks in Jaguars history yesterday, we revealed. And there he is, bright and early out there, out west in California. We appreciate him getting up early with us. And, well, you got the two-tone helmet behind you.
Oh, yeah, I got a couple of them back there, just so you can see. I actually just started a youth organization called the Concord Jaguars, and the Jags are helping me with that. So that's it's been a fun deal for the last 3 months. But yeah, I got a couple of the helmets, couple jerseys, keeping things going. By the way, it's 7:00 in the morning, so that's why I look crazy.
Yeah, you look fantastic.
It is what it is, man. I'm trying. I got kids going to high school, and we got all kind of crazy stuff going around. It's track season, so trying to figure it out. Plus, allergies are killing me. So we'll figure it out.
Listen, I got all those things. I got all those things.
How are we doing, man? Hey, it's good to see you, man. Hey, and even though it's 10:00 in the morning here, I still look pretty crazy as well, man. So don't sweat it at all, man. But it's great to hear from you.
Hey, listen, if anybody has a problem with how I look, I'm going to make sure you get in the octagon with Austen.
I got you, man. I
get in every day with him, man. Every day.
No way, Brent. You're not putting those hands up, are you?
I did get tackled by him the other day, actually, for a commercial shoot. Well, kind of.
Gently pushed. Yeah. But it'll look great in the video, though.
I want to know more about Concord Jags real quick, though. So, what's the youth organization going to do? And it's cool that you've tied the Jags into it, and they're going to help out. They do a lot with youth sports as well, and I'm glad to see them helping you out.
Well, it's my youngest son's last year youth football. And so what I did was we played for an organization that we live by in a community that I've kind of tried to help a little bit. Then we went back to where I grew up in Antioch, California, and played for an organization there. And his last year, I want to help my high school by starting a youth organization that plays out of there. And so we kind of had a little situation with calling them the Spartans. I reached out to the Jags, and they were super excited about it. And so we started an organization there. It's a football and cheer organization, tackle football and cheer. You start from 6 to 14. And again, we're just here to support the community. The Jags have been awesome about it. I felt like if it wasn't going to be the Spartans, because that's the high school, the De La Salle Spartans, the next best thing is to be the Jags and create a Jags fan base here in the Bay Area. And I think we're going to have a ton of them, which will be fun. And as the Jags get better, we'll get better, and kids will be inspired to go play for the Jags one day, which will be exciting times because there's a lot of Niner fans here in the Bay Area. So we're trying to slowly chop away at them.
I like it, man.
That's good stuff. Yeah. Maurice Jones-Drew recently turned 40, by the way. Happy birthday to you a couple weeks ago.
Relax, man. Relax.
It's all a state of mind, Mo. It's all a state of mind. You're only as young as you feel.
I feel 18.
That's right. That's all that matters
right now because I woke up this morning. I don't wake up like this all the time. I'm more in my Beyonce situation where I wake up a little bit better than this, but it's just allergies and a lot of other stuff going on. So
you look great. Hey, there's the story about you wearing 32 because all 32 teams passed on you, and I wanted to take you back to that draft. Like, how pissed were you really that teams passed on you? Or was that just kind of like, hey, I'm going to use this as a little bit of a chip and motivation, and that's what you guys do as athletes. You try to find some of those things. But were you genuinely mad back in 2006 coming out of college?
Oh, man, I was furious. I think, Brent, you know me, and Austen as well. I take a lot of things personal. I used to back in the day take a lot of things personal. I felt like my performance in college warranted to be a first-round pick. I just couldn't control how tall I was, right? And that to me was something that deterred me. Obviously, in the last couple of years, you had Clyde Edwards-Helaire that's gone in the first round. You're going to have a couple other guys here in the near future, possibly go in the first round. We're going to talk about a guy here that's probably around the same size I was coming out. And so I guess breaking that barrier, you can call me the Jackie Robinson of short running backs. To allow guys to be able to go in the first round. But I was serious, man. Like it was just a lot of guys that I played in college against that went in the first round, or I like in the similar class that I felt like I had performed better than. And I think as a younger person, I took that to heart, which now understanding the business side of it, it wasn't personal. There's a lot of people make mistakes in that draft process. And so I used that as fuel for 9 years and maybe a couple years after. I'm not gonna lie, I probably still would. Around this time of the year, I always had this dream about that day. But yeah, no, it definitely helped my career, and it forced me to keep pushing myself to be the best I could be every day.
Well, what I'm curious about, because, with my draft day experience, I was slated anywhere from like the 3rd to the 7th round. So it was a big gap of where I could go. But I remember, and I feel like a lot of players went through this, there were some teams when they're on the clock, you're just like, I really hope they bypass me and then they don't select me because maybe the team is bad or the city. And I'm not going to call anybody out. Cleveland Browns. Didn't want to go to Cleveland. All right. What was there? I mean, I know you're supposed to be a first-round pick and everything, but was there a team out there, a couple of teams where when they were on the board, they're getting ready to select, where you're just like, man, I wouldn't be mad if they didn't choose me right now?
No, I wanted to go anywhere. You could have sent me to Timbuktu. It doesn't matter. Like, I love football so much, and obviously to work as hard as you do throughout college and high school, and then that draft process where I thought I did a great job of answering questions about different situations or, trying to put myself in the best light. I would have went, bro. I'd have went to Cleveland. I'd have went Pittsburgh. I was on the phone with Indy right before in the first round before they drafted Joseph Adai. Mm-hmm. The Carolina Panthers were new in that situation. They drafted D'Angelo Williams. And so I remember coming into the second round, I talked to Atlanta, and they took a corner out of VTech. I forget his name. I think his last name was Williams. But like, it just, every time that phone rang, you're like, this is the call. And then it wasn't, right? So that to me, like, just, put a monster inside of me to make me come out and want to play as hard as I could. And I think the whole 32 thing, I wanted 21. Terry Cousins had 21. He tried to charge me a pretty penny for it. And I was like, come on, you're tripping. So they were like, well, 32's there. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to rock 32 because all 32 teams passed up on me. And it became a great little marketing tool as well.
Yeah, and 32 is a great number here in the Jacksonville Jaguars history. All right, what about Ashton Jeanty, man? What's your look at him as a running back? You mentioned he's only 5'9", comes out of Boise State, and the production has been just off the board. All of a sudden, we don't know if it's a major smokescreen because it's probably the one piece that could get the Jags to move back. So maybe they're putting a lot out there. But obviously the odds have really gone up. The momentum just in the last 2 weeks, this is a little bit out of nowhere that the momentum last 2 weeks has really increased for the Jags. And now we're trying to make some sense of it, man, and we kind of like it. Brian Thomas Jr., Ashton Jeanty certainly makes the offense of the Jaguars something to keep an eye on if you're a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, no question. I think the biggest thing when you talk about Ashton Jeanty is his contact balance, right? His ability to run through a guy or break tackles and then be able to take it the distance. I just did a call with the Boise State radio station yesterday, and we were kind of talking something very similar. And it's the fact that even though they didn't throw the ball to him as much, he could catch the football. And so being able to see him break tackles against Oregon and some of the Penn State, as well as some of these other schools that he played, that was awesome. But it's the ability to take it 90 yards, 80 yards to the house, right? And so having that type of threat in the backfield not only helps your quarterback out, helps out your passing game, helps out your defense. And so to me, I see it. I understand. We've heard the Jags the last couple months talk about how important the run game is to Trevor Lawrence, and that's the one emphasis they want to get going is fixing this run game up and making sure that you can do it. And then obviously you see where Liam Cohen came from Tampa, where, Bucky Irving had a tremendous start to his season last year or his career, as well as Rashad White. They had a couple other guys. I think it was Trey Turner, I think, as well. Like they ran 3 or 4 guys last year. And then at the same time, Baker threw for 40 plus touchdowns. So they want to run the football. I covered Liam Cohen when he was with the Rams, and he was a part of this transition where the Rams went from being this high-flying, throw-the-ball-over-the-yard team to more of a ball control offense, taking shots off a play-action pass. And it works, right? It works as you go. And so that system that they run, and I want all our fans and viewers to go and research this. Remember what the Denver Broncos did in the 90s when they had, John Elway and Terrell Davis and Shannon Sharp and all those guys. They were a run-first team. They ran the football. And then John Elway, who was throwing for a ton of yards but never won a Super Bowl, then John Elway was able to be John Elway late in the game and win those games. And so, again, this is something very similar. I see the Rams do it all the time, or similar often. So putting that type of caliber, a piece behind Trevor Lawrence to pair with ETN and Bigsby is going to be huge. Right now, you have three guys. Everyone's rested. I get it. Some guys are going to want their money, understandably so. But this is going to give you an opportunity to be fresh when the defense is tired late in games and give you a chance to really, wear teams out.
Mo, I mean, I think it would be great if Ashton Jeanty was drafted here. I think it would be exciting. I think the fan base would definitely embrace him. But to try to play, I guess, a little bit of the devil's advocate here, this draft seems like you can get a pretty good running back in the 4th and 5th round. And if you want to talk about a guy like Bucky Irving, I think he was taken the 4th round, if I'm not mistaken, by Liam Cohen and company. And you saw how he did. Like, we thought it was going to be the Rachaad White, show for a while. I had him in fantasy. I was wrong because Bucky Irving ended up taking over, and he was kind of the bell cow going forward for Tampa. So I guess my question for you is like, with what you're getting with Jeanty, at 5 overall or whatever it's going to be in the 1st round, is it that much better than we could possibly get in the 4th or 5th round with, some of these backs, whether it's out of UCF, out of Tennessee, things like that?
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. But, I have Jeanty rated higher than Saquon was when he came out. And the reason being is he has a very similar skill set, but he played in Boise State, right? Mm-hmm. Rushed for more yards, had less negative yards. He's just more explosive, to be honest, than what Saquon was at Penn State. And when you watch Saquon at Penn State, you saw some very explosive runs, but you saw a lot of negative stuff because he was trying to score all the time, where Jeanty is the complete opposite. He's going to get the tough 5, tough 4 yards and then have that ability to break the long one. To me, I think he's going to be a piece that, I think if we're ranking it out of 10, he's 10 or 11, and then the next guy is like 7, 8. Right.
Yeah.
7-8 is a really good, and we'll talk about some of those other guys obviously as we go on. But Jeanty to me is, like I've said it before, he's the best prospect I've scouted since I've gotten the TV and the broadcasting industry. And a lot of people were saying, like, well, what about Saquon? I was like, well, I love Saquon. I just thought Saquon needed some things to do, like pass protection wise or some other things. But I thought with the ball in his hands, he was phenomenal. This kid does it all. He does it all. And so not only does it do it all, the guys that, and again, I this is with no disrespect to Boise State, but the guys that he plays with at Boise State probably won't be getting drafted very high if they get drafted at all, right? So that to me tells you that he's really doing something spectacular.
That's something Mojo's always talked about too, even back in the day. It's like, can you still got to lean forward, fall forward kind of guys. Like, that's what you love about Derrick Henry, right? That's what you didn't like all the time about Leonard Fournette. Fournette would have negative runs, and then you're behind the sticks. And so that falling forward, remember James Robinson did a good job of that, Austen, too, right?
For sure.
Like, he would at least fall forward for a yard or two, and so you're not behind the sticks, right?
I think James Robinson is what he was able to do, and I get it, he was undrafted, but to be efficient. And he had some deficiencies out of Illinois State. That's where he went, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, he had some deficiencies coming out of there. This kid is pretty much like plug and play. Like, you put him in right now, you're off and running. So, and there's another thing. It's not just the Jags that I've talked to the Jags about him. I've talked to the Bears. I've talked to the Rams. I've talked to the Raiders. I've talked to a couple other running back coaches around the league as well. I've talked to scouts. I mean, everyone pretty much is saying like he's the one of the best backs they've seen come out of college in a long time. And then the other part to it is, I don't know if you guys know this. I think, Brent, we talked about it, but Dirk Cutters is OC. So the runs that I see him run are the same runs that we ran in Jacksonville. So I can say, okay, are his eyes right? Is he reading the right guy? How is he reacting to it? And he rarely misses holes. So to me, he's a guy. Another thing I got to say is, like, when Pete Prisco's like, well, I'm okay with him, lets me know that he's pretty good. You know what I mean? Pete would never, ever talk positive about a running back. So I know this kid has some game.
Mo, but let's say that, for the sake of the argument, that the Jaguars do draft Ashton Jeanty at number 5. Now you have the room with Travis Etienne. You still have Tank Bigsby and then Jeanty as well. What is that usage going to look like? Do you try to shop Travis Etienne? Are you going to use all 3 of them? And what is the percentage in terms of usage? Because if you take a guy at number 5, you feel like he's going to be playing pretty much the whole game.
Yeah, no, I don't think you'll play him the whole game, Austen. I think the biggest thing you'll do is you're going to try to keep all 3, right? Because again, everything the Jags do is about Trevor Lawrence, right? We want to always have a guy that has the ability to play every down for Trevor, right? So we know Etienne can be a first, second, third down guy. We know Bigsby can be a first, second, third down guy. Now, there are going to be certain plays that we'll give and certain calls that we'll give to certain guys. But having another piece back there to be able to lean on is going to be huge. And to me, again, for any quarterback, I could care less. Again, I call the games for the Rams. We've seen Aaron Rodgers. I've called games against him multiple times. Some of the best in the game, Patrick Mahomes, right? Mm-hmm. I've called games against him. When they don't have a running game, they struggle. Sure. Period. If you looked at the Super Bowl, the Chiefs couldn't run the football at all. Mahomes struggled. It's very simple. On the other side, the Eagles, even though they weren't having the running success that they had all season, they were still getting 4 or 5 yards with Saquon Barkley, and that opened up the passing game for Jalen Hurts. So to me, it's like you really have to have a running game. And if you feel like that's going to be the key to your success, you go get this guy and then you figure out how to use him. If someone does call you though, and I've always been, again, this is me being out of the game for, I don't know how many years now, but
11.
If someone calls you and gives you something that you like, then yeah, I'll trade him. But if not, I'm not going to be upset. I got 3 dudes that can tote the rock and be explosive. And then guess what? They're fresh. And then that means all year long you should have fresh guys. And that's what Tampa was able to do down the stretch when they got to the playoffs. Is that running game, and those guys are running. And they were allowed to. They kept guys fresh and kept guys going.
Mojo, we haven't had enough stars on the offensive side of the ball here in Jacksonville. Like, need blue chip players. I mean, you played a dozen years ago, and you're probably still in the top 5 of the last dozen years. In terms of blue chip guys, like that's too long. Like that shouldn't happen. Any chance? First of all, where do you think Travis Hunter plays? And any chance you would move up to get Travis Hunter, specifically if he's at wide receiver? I think there's a gaping hole right now for the Jags at the number 2 wide receiver spot behind Brian Thomas Jr. I mean, they go De'Ami Brown, Parker Washington, Gabe Davis after that. Like, I think that might be their biggest hole on their roster. What do you think about Travis Hunter, and would you move up? I just saw Schefter say, by the way, that they are fielding calls at number 2 and 3, the Giants and the Browns. No surprise.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. After hearing that, then don't draft Jeanty. I want to stay up there in those record books for a while. You know what I mean? No, this is the thing. This is what I believe about Travis Hunter. I believe he's a luxury pick. And the reason being is he's so good on both sides of the ball. A team that struggles is going to have to use him on one side of the ball. And that's going to be one of those issues where, like, let's say if he goes to the Giants, for example, right? You're telling me he's going to be your second wide receiver next to Neighbors and then turn around and be your lockdown corner? Like, no, there's no way. It's too much. It's going to be too much on him. And I know he's going to say, I can play both sides. But the pressure of playing both sides and the ability to go out there and perform like that at a high level is going to be tough. To be able to shut down the top receiver and then go against one of the top corners, that's going to be tough to deal with. And so to me, it's a luxury pick, right? And again, that's why in my mock draft, I dropped him to 7 to the Jets, saying, like, look, the Jets have some pieces. They already have a number 1 corner, hop in on a nickel package, and then obviously a receiver. They have Garrett Wilson. They have a couple other young guys that are making plays that you can kind of fit in, and it's not as much pressure on you. And then to me, if I feel like that's why I call it a luxury pick. I feel like if you're going to go and get him, you have to either say, hey, look, we're going to play him in packages on both sides of the ball, or he's going to primarily play this with a little bit of that. What team has the luxury to do that, right? What team has the luxury to say, if you're the Jags, okay, you'll be my number 2 guy, and then we're going to package you on defense. We need you more on offense in that situation. We have too many holes offensive that we have to fix. And so that's why in my mock draft, and I agree with you, Brent, that number 2 receiving role hole is big. I put T-Mac in there from Arizona. Oh, there it is. Look, T-Mac, that's my guy. T-Mac there because T-Mac reminds me of Mike Evans. Now, he says some stuff in the process that isn't the best, right?
Yeah, whatever.
Things like that. But he's a crazy athlete, right? And to me, if I want to help my quarterback out, I'm going to get me a 6'5", 215-pound receiver that can go out there and make some plays. And so maybe help with the 50-50 ball, right? I know you have Gabe Davis, but Gabe Davis is more of a vertical threat than a 50-50 ball guy. This is actually a true 50-50 ball guy that Mike Evans was when he first started. And then as he got better, his routes got better. He became a better overall receiver as his career went on. And now he has, 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons. So to me, that's what you're looking for. If you want to fit that, I would probably go that route. Or maybe you may be able to get Ted if you can trade back up in the first round because, I've heard a lot that his stock is dropping a little bit. But to me, he's still one of those top playmakers in the draft.
Mo, obviously, when we talk, because I mean, obviously, you've covered the Rams for a while, and you know what they do. And now we have James Gladstone, and I think everybody around here, we're talking about wide receivers, we're talking about running backs, and we kind of missed the obvious choice of Mason Graham. And I say obvious choice because you can make an argument last year and say interior defensive line may have been the biggest need. Do you think that, are we missing the obvious here? I guess is my question, because I want to see Jeanty, like I wouldn't mind seeing even like if Travis Hunter somehow fell. Like there's a lot of guys to be excited about, and I feel like Mason Graham isn't the most exciting guy, but is it what this team needs the most? So I guess my question to you is what does this team need more of to address maybe the biggest need or to help out Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, this is a quarterback-driven league. I could care less. I mean, no disrespect to the defense and Austen at all, but
you're all good.
If your quarterback doesn't have weapons, if he's not comfortable, you're not going to win games regardless. Like that's just what it comes down to, right? And so, and I tell you from experience, as a player, we played with multiple quarterbacks throughout my career there, and it just sucks. Guys will get hurt, guys will get cut, whatever it may be, and now you're starting this whole thing over. So it's all about protecting the quarterback. And if you look at a lot of the if you're Tennessee, right, we're not, no disrespect to Will Levis. I thought Will Levis had a great pre-draft, and that's one of Pete Prisco's guys, but he's not it. He turns the ball over at a crazy rate and makes a lot of mistakes. We're going to go 1 because we got to fix that situation to give us an opportunity. Right at 2, there was a whole talk about Shedeur Sanders going at 2 because in Cleveland, we don't have a quarterback. Right? Deshaun Watson's Achilles is torn again. Now there's rumor that they're going to go trade for Kirk Cousins coming off his Achilles. And all, I don't know what they got going on, but the chances of them being successful without having a quarterback are slim to none. The Giants, right? Look, and I'm just going to go, this is kind of me being a national side. I don't know what they're doing over there, to be honest. We've already seen Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh. We've seen him in Denver. It wasn't good enough. Then we've seen Jameis. Jameis has done a great job of doing some pregame speeches, and I believe that he's going to go out there and he's going to deliver them from a lot, but he's also going to throw pick sixes. That's what he does, right?
Yeah.
And so you need a quarterback. And so when we go to Jackson, or no, who's for?
Patriots.
The Patriots, right? We tried to mess around and not have Drake May be the guy.
Oh man, what happened? The Wi-Fi at home was so good. Kids must have got up, started using the
the
Wi-Fi.
It was exerting itself, man.
I mean, it was going well. If he jumps back in, let us know. Jones-Drew, he actually hung out with us a little bit longer. I said, go back to bed. Nah, I want to finish my thought. I had a good thought going. We left off on 1, 2, 3 New England Patriots. I don't know. We were trying to figure out what you might have said.
Drake May, I think we're going with.
No, I was saying, again, my bad. I was saying.
No, it might be our bad.
Everyone is going to do what's best for the quarterback in these. If you don't have a quarterback, you're trying to get one. Or you're going to do what's best for that said quarterback, right? Again, I think the Patriots are either going to go tackle. They're going to try to trade back and go tackle because they got to protect them. Again, these are games that I've called last year against the Rams, and Drake May was running around like a chicken with his head cut off half the time, right? So you have to protect the quarterback. And so when I look at those situations, how the league is kind of addressed, and I thought, Austen, you said a great thing. I was watching there for a little bit. You talked about having a receiver 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
You have to figure out, can I get that receiver 1B later in the draft, which we've seen, just like we've seen other running backs do well, or what's more important? Is a running game the most important right now? Or is it protecting the quarterback with the offensive line? Or is it adding a dynamic receiver to go with Brian Thomas Jr.? And so when I look at all that whole process, to me, and we've heard this, obviously Tony's come out and said it, Baselli, Liam Cohen's come out and said it, and obviously the GM Gladstone has come out and said as well, is that the run game right now is the emphasis of this offense, right? We want to fix the run game. And so as much as I think Mason Graham is an obvious pick, it's hard to draft an undersized D tackle at 5. Even Aaron Donald went at 13. You see what I'm saying? Like you got to remember the measurables. So it's hard to justify drafting that when you put so much emphasis on your running game. And don't get me wrong, there's other guys in the draft that you can get. I think Cam Scatterbo out of Arizona State is an amazing player. I think both running backs at Ohio State, can do some great damage there. You have the kid out of UCF, Harvey, that's really well. I know a lot of people like Hampton. He's more of a Derrick Henry to me, just not as big, right? A guy that if he gets on the track, he's hard to tackle. I think that's kind of what Tank Bigsby is, though, as a bigger guy. You get him on the track, he can roll a little bit. But there are other guys. They're just not the top upper echelon. And I don't know next year if there's going to be a guy like Jeanty, right? So if you get a chance to get a generational talent, you should grab him, right? And make sure that you utilize him in the right manner.
Mojo, you're a huge Jags fan, and we love that about you. Even out west, you haven't forgotten about that. And I want to. What's your confidence level in this regime getting it right? This is the right rendition of the Jags. There's a freshness around here, I'll tell you that. With a young Gladstone, Cohen obviously comes in here with a little swag as well. But the resumes aren't long.
I mean, I don't know about the swag. The Duval was kind of weird.
Well, I know. Well, hey, listen,
a little awkward. You know what I mean? Like,
awkward swag.
It wasn't ideal.
Out of that hole of the Duval situation, but yeah, I think he's doing a great job. No, listen, I believe this, and I always thought the league goes in different directions, and a lot of success is always it's like based off of trees, right? And if you look at the trees of where these guys have come from, there's been a ton of success, right? If you look even with Matt LaFleur in Green Bay, he came off of this tree. The Niners are off of this tree as well, the success that they've had. I mean, I could tell the Tennessee Titans, Brian Callahan, my old high school teammate and college teammate, he came off of this tree in Cincinnati, where that coach came from the Rams, right? They've had success. And so you see that success. Minnesota, what they're doing with Kevin O'Connell, they're having success. So to me, that's the important thing. And if you look at how these teams are all paired up, except for Cincinnati's a little bit different. But there's a young, innovative GM that is going to think outside the box. They're going to look for intangible, rich players, right? And then they're going to have a young OC that kind of runs these same plays in similar fashion. And so when you see that, success follows that. And so to me, that's the most important thing. Now, granted, playing outside is going to be a little bit different, but I've seen, Liam Cohen do a great job with that in Tampa. But a lot of these guys, if you look at the Minnesota Vikings, I mean, they had Sam Darnold, right? Like we saw Sam Darnold the last couple weeks of the year. That was the Sam that and no disrespect to Sam, but that's the Sam that we've seen, right? The first, 17 weeks? I was like, who is this dude?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to play them. This guy is playing lights out. Like, he's doing all these different. And so they do a great job of really, and when I say rehabbing the quarterback, it's not as if the quarterback is bad, but they make the game very simple for him. I've had chances to sit in the meetings with some of these guys, talk to them at the combine, or just talk football or whatever. You always have an answer in this offense, right? From either a play action pass concept or just a drop back pass concept. There's always an answer for whatever the defense is going to do. And the reason that is, again, I go back to the Denver Broncos. This comes all off of the Mike Shanahan tree. Is if you have a strong running game, you force the defense to put 8 in the box. And when you do that, you have answers for those. And so, like I said before, I know the Rams weren't very happy. They were excited for Gladstone to leave, but they weren't happy that he left, right? Because he's been a key piece for them for a long time. And he took a couple key pieces. But there's a guy by the name of Jake Tammy that I worked with who's there. And you guys, if you see him, tell him I said hello. I mean, when you talk about beautiful mind, we would have conversations when I was calling the games on the Rams. He would be our statistician sometimes. And he would be like, Maurice, what do you think about this guy? And I'm like, I don't know. And then this guy ends up being a baller, right? And they have minds that are going to go out and find the other pieces late in the draft that are going to be able to contribute. So, again, like I said, it's you're trying to build long-term success, and it's easier to do it with younger, innovative people now in the NFL because of the way college is going and all these different things. Having a young mind that's not kind of stuck in its ways, that's willing to grow and develop, will for sure be a big deal. And Brent, we talked about this yesterday as well. Having Tony as kind of the go-between, the guy that's been in Jacksonville, that understands the history of the Jaguars, that kind of seen the ups and downs and all the different things. That's going to be good as well, because then you'll be able to really help them as they like miss some of these, kind of like a parent in a way, to not hit so many rocks on this ship that we're trying to steer to a championship, right? Like, we've tried this before. Let's go this way a little bit. Turn that steer a little bit this way. So I think it's like starboard. That's what they say. Like, turn it starboard. Like, whatever they mean. But I think, again, I believe that they put the right pieces in play, and I'm super excited. Like you said, it's a breath of fresh air. I'm super excited. You have a young – I also believe this too. You have to be able to relate to the players that you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the most important thing, to be able to relate. And I struggle relating with kids. And now I coach high school ball, and I try to help kids go to college and all these different things. I struggle trying to relate to these kids. So I know older coaches are going to struggle because, again, like, the game has changed, right? I've heard about this, like, Austen, you tell me if I'm wrong, but they have like a 5-minute phone break in the middle of meetings. That would have never happened. Like, you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, dude, bro, if your phone would have went off in a meeting, that's 10,000.
Yeah.
Easy, right?
Yeah.
5,000
Simple as
easy,
that.
right? Like, these dudes are getting phone breaks. So it's just a different deal. And it's more, scientific, and they're around this more. Again, going to college, my son's getting recruited, and we've been to a couple of colleges, and seeing the way they coach is completely different than the way I was coached, right? And so you just have to kind of go with the times a little bit. And I think the Jags have finally hit it where they need to, and you have coaches and a GM that's ready to go.
Mo, listen, man, I was asked to be an assistant coach, at a few spots, and I had to respectfully decline just because I know with my personality and my want to win and go above and beyond for these kids and everything, and I have a 10-year-old, and I know how the landscape is now. I just feel like the game's not for me. I'm going to be there. I'm going to support the game, but it's drastically changed. And when we talk about it changing, I got to ask you this. Your UCLA Bruins have now got a new quarterback in Nico. How do you feel about that whole situation? And how do you feel about him coming to play for the Bruins now?
Well, first of all, he should have came there right out of high school.
But, yeah.
Let's not even get to that point. And we're going to work on. I'm first of all, I'm really excited. Right, okay. That's one of the schools that's recruiting my son. My boy is Deshaun Foster. Very happy for him, what he was able to do and try to get him out of Tennessee and get him there. And it gives us an opportunity, right? I thought last year he got the job so late, with all kids that hit the portal and Chip had left, and it was just so much disarray that they brought some guys in to kind of try to bring some stability to that team. And I thought they did. They got better. But you have to be explosive at the quarterback position, both with your legs and with your arm. And so Nico brings that. Have you heard the latest news? Like, Nico's brother's coming in too, right? So it's going to be a family affair, which is exciting because those two guys have such a strong, I don't want to say fan base, but in LA, a lot of the Polynesians love them, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Means you get a chance to get more Polynesians, more LA kids to stay in LA and not go to Ohio States and Michigans and Texas and Georgias, and they kind of stay in the state of California, which is what we want. And so I think it's a huge deal, right? I think it's a huge deal. My son is super excited about it. And again, like I said, as a Bruin, I'm happy for Deshaun. I'm happy for our school. I'm happy for our football program of getting a star-studded guy. Now, I feel terrible for Aguilar, who just came over from App State. He's a Bay Area guy, great player. But shoot, he just took off and went to Tennessee.
Yeah, he just traded.
He just did a trade without trading, right? So, which is dope. And so I wish him the best of luck. They have other quarterbacks there on the roster too. Yeah. They have a guy by the name of Luke Duncan that I coached a long time ago in high school, who's he's a crazy athlete. So there'll be some competition there, but obviously getting a 5-star and the number one player in the transfer portal is going to be huge for UCLA.
All right, we're gonna call this show Brent and Austen and MJD if I keep you on any longer, man.
I can do like 5 more minutes if you want.
No. I want to let you go. I want to let you go.
So you're kicking me off. That's what it is. It's not letting me go. That's
more of trying to probably hit our commercial breaks, try to pay the bills too, huh?
Well, not really. Okay. It's like, hey, we'll keep you on for 15 minutes, not 45 minutes. So, but here we are. We love hanging out with Mojo. Hey, who's faster, Deuce or you?
Oh, Deuce is way faster. I mean, you talking about at the same age or like right now?
Well, not right now. I know he's faster than you right now.
Bro, Deuce is running 10.
I mean, I might be faster than you right now.
No, don't do that. I'm still an athlete. Like, someone actually questioned my athleticism the other day, and I had to show him, and then I shut him up for another couple months. Deuce, I ran in high school. He's a sophomore. I think I ran like 11.2, 11.1. He's running 10.8, 10.7. So he's way faster. And he's bigger than I was, which is crazy. So luckily he has a dad in the NFL that can, force him to do the things he doesn't want to do. And those results come. I didn't have that. So
hey, you got to wait, don't shortchange yourself. Like, I'm actually looking up somewhere here. It says that when you ran track in the 4x100, at 16, you posted a personal best time of 10.80 in the 100.
Oh,
so
yeah,
make sure you put that in the back pocket, man, with the kid. I mean, don't shortchange yourself and get you into the 11s.
Listen, I'm just telling you, consistently. Last year, he ran a time. I think he ran 22.1 in the 200. I ran that as a senior. He ran that as a freshman. So my records are done. I've given up to that. I tell him you can't beat me up. That's all I tell him. You can't beat me up.
He is a different build, right?
Whatever you want to do.
He's not built like you though.
Oh, he is.
He is.
The other one's not built. The other one, I gotta go check it. We gotta go do a DNA test. I was like, dude, 5'10" already? Are you?
That's crazy, man.
So I'm nervous. He just turned 14. He's 5'10". He's growing like a weed. Also, we may be calling you because I think I'm going to move him to outside linebacker.
Okay, let's go.
Guy.
Let's go.
Like I tell people, we're going to get some money. That's all. Quarterback, get some money. We'll be fine.
Hey, we can trade Mo because I have a son who does not want to play defense at all and is obsessed with wide receivers. So I'm trying to get him to hit. He doesn't want to hit anybody. So I might send him to you for wide receiver. You send me your son, and I'll get him, outside linebacker ready for you.
Listen,
I got you.
I would accept that deal, but Deuce will probably take over. He misses Jacksonville. Like, that's all I'm talking about. Is going back
I got
to
you.
We're going to play Lakeland, Florida this year.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
So it may be on ESPN, so obviously you guys should check it out.
Yeah.
He was like, why can't we play him in Florida? And our coach was like, well, first of all, it's too hot that time of the year. I was like, blazing hot.
Toasty.
So I don't know if we'd have the best chance of winning, but I think they're going to come out to California, and it's going to be a great game. So, Deuce loves Jacksonville. He misses Providence. He misses all his friends there. And he's been wearing me out for the last 10 years about moving back. But we'll figure it out one day. He may end up going to the school near Jacksonville. We just don't know.
All right. Love it, man. Good update on the fam. Tell the family hello, and thanks for hanging out with us this morning. We appreciate it. We'll keep an eye on the Jags this draft. We'll see what they do. Maybe Ashton Jeanty, someone to follow and break Mojo's records.
No.
Thanks,
All right,
man.
guys. See you later.
Thank you, man.